तरफ अपने घर आऊंगा। ऐ खालिक मेरे लौट कर आऊंगा, मैं तेरी तरफ अपने घर आऊंगा। अल्लाह 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 मौला मौला ऐ खालिक मेरे लौट कर आऊंगा, मैं तेरी तरफ अपने घर। अल्लाह 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 मौला मौला ऐ खालिक मेरे लौट कर आऊंगा, मैं तेरी तरफ। Can somebody change the battery on this, please? It's been low. Sorry, it's flashing. Just give me 1 second. अपने घर आऊंगा। अल्लाह 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 मौला ऐ खालिक मेरे लौट कर आऊंगा, मैं तेरी तरफ अपने घर आऊंगा। बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम। Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. There's no reply. MashaAllah. You know, I know you're all fasting, but surely Sehri wasn't that long ago. And Iftari is not too long away as well, inshallah. You know, winter fasts are very, very easy. Jazakallah for rejoining. We go forward into our next session, main session of the day. And here we are going to show you how we activate and clean the spiritual entities that exist within the physical body, that help connect you spiritually to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and to give you that detailed analysis and breakdown, followed with a practical session. So what we're going to do is we're going to give you the outline of the theory, and then we are going to follow that with a practical session where we are actually cleaning those spiritual centers, and we will show you how to do the spiritual connection. I believe there are many brothers here which I know who are familiar with this process, but there's also a good portion of brand new brothers who may not have seen this before. So it's my great pleasure to hand you over to Ustadh Sajid Hussain, who's come all the way from the south to be with us and deliver this part of the presentation. And he is an optometrist by profession, and he's one of our leading senior ustads. So I will now hand over to Ustadh Sajid. Jazakallah.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. As-salatu as-salamu alayka ya Rasulullah. We start by praising Allah Azza wa Jal, the Almighty, the Powerful, and we send Durood and Salam on the best of creation, Sayyidina Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Welcome everybody from the Zoom and all the participants here. What a blessing it is to be here today, when maybe in the past we may be looking forward to a Bond movie, the Queen's speech, maybe a Star Wars movie. But what a blessing it is that Allah Azza wa Jal, through the blessings and mercy, has blessed us to be here together in the remembrance of Allah Azza wa Jal. Not only in the remembrance, but how to know Allah Azza wa Jal. And not only how to know Allah Azza wa Jal, but how to connect to Allah Azza wa Jal. And what a blessing that we are connected to a teacher like the teacher Shaykh Ahmad Dabagh, who has taken us out from the darkness of the Christmas days to an enlightenment day today. What a blessing just to be here in that remembrance. That's something to think and reflect upon all your life, all the people around the world. Allah Azza wa Jalla has chosen you to be here, whether you're on Zoom around the world or here today, because this is a significant day for the people in the Western world. Are we agreed on that? And how are we using that significant day that commemorates the Western world, even though they've gone away maybe from the teachings of Hazrat Isa alayhi salam, peace be upon him, but yet they do take this day off, don't they? And you've chosen to remember this significant day by remembering the one who is all significant, the Almighty, Allah Azza wa Jal. And with that we remember the love of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, how blessed we are to be the Ummati. How blessed are we to be the Ummati of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. The Western world signifies this with the remembrance of Sayyidina Isa alayhi salam. And he, of all the prophets, he will also come back and be the Ummati of the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And how blessed are we to have these teachings that brings us together in that type of remembrance. What we're going to go through today is, this is going to be one of the preconditions to what Ustadh Harun will go through in regards to connecting with the sifats of Allah Azza wa Jal and in the munajat. So if this is your first time, just please make yourself known so we can make that focused attention. So those who are here, if this is your first retreat or your first spiritual ascension, raise your hands. And those on Zoom, if you could do the same. If this is your first time, just make yourself known. Just keep the hands up. And in Zoom, keep your hands up as well. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that's quite a few numbers. Jazakallah khair. And if you keep your hands up if it's your first time. And also in this room here, whoever is having difficulty with the ascension, please also raise your hands. Okay. Maybe come to the front. Maybe one of the reasons you're having difficulty is you're hiding in the back, close to the wuzu area that Brother Zafar referred to earlier. MashaAllah, Jazakallah. You can lower your hands now, inshallah. So we're going to spend a little bit of time on this to bring everybody up to speed, inshallah. So as Ustadh Zafar mentioned, again, we're going to be using the name of Allah Azza wa Jal. Nothing is more powerful than Allah Azza wa Jal. And we'll go through that. And in cleansing the spiritual entities, just like you have a body, you have arms, you have legs, you have a heart, a liver. There's also certain entities within the spiritual side of things. Some refer to them as spiritual centers, lataifs. These are things that are real, and other disciplines talk about this as well. But where the difference here and others is, this is going to link you to Allah Azza wa Jal. And the idea with energizing and cleansing that is to transfer our spirit into the spiritual world. And remember one thing, that the power of the spirit, that's a whole topic in itself, but the spirit has already witnessed Allah. So that's who you really are. Everything else that comes with the spirit, your body, mind, heart, soul, referring to the nafs, these are your means of test. And the brothers will go into more detail of that. But what I want you to understand is within your body, mind, heart, and nafs, there is a spirit which is the real you, which has already witnessed Allah Azza wa Jal, and it will return to Allah Azza wa Jal. And they will go through this in detail with the journey of man. But we are going to learn here how to transfer our spirit so we can, when the next sessions happen, we can have a more in-depth interaction with the spiritual world and ultimately with Allah Azza wa Jal. So this is a session, the theory part. I want to go at your pace, particularly the new brothers and sisters on Zoom and here. So if there's anything you don't understand, just mention in the chat group or raise your hand here and we will inshallah address it. Okay, so going in, we're going to use the aid of this presentation. The methodology. Make firm intention of the 5 miles of the foundation of the path of Allah Azza wa Jal. This will be mentioned later on in detail, but intention is fundamental. The very simple thing here to remember is, so one of the miracles of these gatherings and the permission given to us by our teacher is that a true person with true intentions, you make the intentions, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the all-doer. So intention is very important. So the intention here is that I am going to do this for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and I will make my efforts to purify my body, mind and heart. I'm going to do my best and I'm going to try and follow the methodology of adopting the sunnah in my life. So make those intentions. So this is not, when we say this is not a theoretical session, this is a very practical, experiential. You're going to experience here. For those who are really interested in theory, there's a separate session for that. The whys, who's, what's here. It's not going to go into theory on how does it happen, why does it happen, what's the reasons. Here we have a teacher, just like it says in the Quran, those who ask those who don't know. Ask those who don't know, and that's what we're doing here. We're following the teachings here. Those who are interested in the theory, it's a separate section, but really the focus here is for you to experience yourself. There's no point of me telling you, if you've never seen what the moon looks like, this is how the moon is. It reflects from the sun. That's why you have the moon in a full moon. The reason you have a quarter, because the shadow casting against the earth, etc., etc. Whereas if you've never seen the moon, this is the example here. We can take you outside in the middle of the night and say, look at the moon. We'll take you on the next day. Look how the moon changes shape, color. So the spiritual centers, we're using those. Those are not the purpose. The reason we make a point of this, you'll understand it from many other disciplines, whether it's other religions or other meditative practices, whether it's healing. People get very excited when they activate a spiritual center. You may have read about this, you may have heard about this, you may be referred to chakras, you may have seen the Marvel comics. Which one is it? Doctor Strange. Yeah. How they sometimes use the spiritual centers to open other dimensions and things like this. You're going to be doing that as well here. You are going to open that dimension where your spirit can experience in the spiritual world. But you're going to do it under supervision, under the sunnah, under the protection of Allah Azza wa Jal. But we're not making them the purpose. You'll find once we've activated them, we'll be finishing them. The purpose here of this retreat is for you to enter into the spiritual world, experience the spiritual world, follow your guide, and then utilize that to experience and make your dua more spiritual. But also what this does ultimately is to raise your level of iman, your level of yaqeen. Why is this relevant at this time? Why has this been accelerated? we live in a very fast-moving technological world. Would you agree? Those who have children, they will understand. Don't forget children, let's talk about ourselves. How we get sucked into the internet world, gaming world. How difficult it is. Now you've had lockdown. This is the real pandemic. People are now used to embedded in the virtual reality. It's very hard to get people to go to work once the pandemic is over or eased down. You're all experiencing this. I can work from home. I'm connected. I can play computer games. You're going into a virtual reality world. It's attractive. The nafs finds that attractive. It's why are you going to go up, scrape the car now, start the engine up? Man, I can just go home, just put my tie on. Doesn't matter what's on underneath. Huh? Like my socks. You don't know what my socks colors are, but yeah. But the point being is, it sucks you in. It sucks you in. So you got to have, so the wisdom of our teacher and the mashaykhs is, this is attracting you, it's pulling you. Now the spiritual world, access to the spiritual world is going to increase your level of yaqeen. It is not comparable to what is made by man. And that world is vast. That's why you need a guide. And the idea here is it pulls you towards and direct that correctly, like anything. You can use the internet for good, you can use that for evil. The spiritual world, yes, people do use that for evil. The shayateen, they inhabit the unseen. Obviously, we'll be going beyond that. I think Brother Zafar is a master of that side of the world. I think he opened the session up saying he had to go in and break some, what did you say, shayateen's prisons and things. So him and Uncle Ramazan should have a queue of people in Birmingham now. A queue of people. So, but this comes back to attention. So all of those, the brothers that come from Birmingham, even myself here, and you can change all of that. Yes, you may have been dragged by Ustadh Zafar and Haji Ramazan, but you can make this productive. Each and every one of us, this is the power and the intentions. You have a spirit, you have this free will. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I'm here now. They've taken you out of that prison and put you in this prison here. Just make the most of it now. There's no running. Haji Ramzan has locked the doors. Okay. MashaAllah. Now, particularly for those who are new and the ones who are still struggling, get these 3 levels clear now. This experience starts at the level of thinking. Level 1, thought level. So when you again, we'll explain this as we go through the presentation. But remember, your experience starts by you engaging your mind, your imagination. Once you're engaging your mind and your imagination, then the spiritual level starts to open automatically. The example I can give you here is like riding a bike, those who have ridden a bike. If you remember your older brother, sister, father or mother, they will teach you how to hold the steering wheels, push the pedals. You're trying. Then you're like, don't let go. Then one day you find that your older brother, sister, your father, they're not holding the bike, you're riding it. And when you realize, normally the first thing happens, you crash, But you know you can do it. So when the spiritual level happens, it happens sometimes without you knowing. That's why feedback. So particularly the new people and those who are struggling, be the first to give feedback. Without feedback, you're not going to know how to improve. Just like when you're learning a new language or you're learning the Quran, you have to recite back to the teacher. And the teacher will tell you where you're going right or where you're going wrong. Okay, we touched on this. This is the mindset. So again, this is again a refresher. If you've heard this a few times, and particularly for the new people, remember we're focusing on the practical here. So just focus on the now and have the end in mind. The end of all ends is the infinite pleasure of Allah Azza wa Jal. So that's your intentions. Help comes, power comes, light comes. Focus on the now. What does that mean? Meaning you're here now, you're on Zoom. Go through the system. Don't worry about what's going to happen after the Christmas break, what you left behind, the problems. What happens is, because remember, you're engaging your mind and your imagination. If your mind and your imagination is busy in all the worries that you have, maybe you've come here because of all the problems and you think, Allah Azza wa Jalla, I want Allah. Sometimes these problems bring you closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But to benefit, to experience this, you got to have the end in mind. I'm here for Allah's pleasure, and just worry about now. You can't do anything about what's happened before. You can't do anything about what's to come. Just worry about now. This, I mean, Ustadh Zafar did a whole bayan on this. The 3 keys in mind. These are your keys. These are your power tools. That Allah Azza wa Jal is with me, seeing me, hearing me. As the mind, as you come into the presence of now, you occupy with the mind with this. Okay? I'll give you a little tip here already, particularly for the people who are new. You may be thinking, I've got so many problems. I've got so many things I can't forget. What you don't do is like, I don't want to think about the problem. I don't want to think about this. What happens? You start to think about the issue. You have to think about something else. What's that something else? The one who is with you always. Think about the one who's seeing you always. Think about the one who's hearing your innermost thoughts, your innermost worries. Think about him. So you're replacing that. So that's the mindset. Have the correct intention when you're approaching this. Have the presence of Allah Azza wa Jal. So don't worry about remembering all of this. We will go through this in a guided way a few times. So before you approach any session of spiritual exercise, do the 2 rakats, 2 prayers of need, and ask Allah Azza wa Jal for help. So this is just teaching you adab here. If you come to a session and you realize I've forgotten, it's best not to do that while the session starts. Make intentions, ask for forgiveness, make intentions to do that afterwards. Okay? We've got mindset, intention, presence, prayer of need, then the amals of protection. They're reciting with the tongue and the heart, Surah Fatiha once, to yourself, Ayatul Kursi once, and the 3 Quls in order. Then you blow on your hands and you rub over your head, your whole body. It's like I said, certain elements of the spiritual world are open to anybody, and with the protection, it protects you from the satanic influences and interferences as well. There's certain paths you'll find, once you go through this, certain parts of the spiritual world are not open to them, but we'll go in more detail, or you'll experience yourself. You come under the protection of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to the sunnah way here. This is similar to when you do the calls before you go to. You can mention a Zoom. When do you do this? Before you go to? I can hear some of you already doing that right now. I'll give you an example. I can hear somebody snoring. Sleep. Yep. So this is the sunnah way. So what happens in sleep is your spirit comes out of your body. So while you're doing that, you're putting it under protection. So you can go into the shaitanic world. You can also go into the highest levels under the throne of Allah Azza wa Jal. Interact with the righteous and the pious. You can have nightmares. So what you're going to be doing here is doing something similar to what you do every night when you go to sleep, but you're going to be conscious. You're going to be able to do this in a wakeful state. Yes, it is something amazing, but it's something your body and spirit is already used to. Particularly when the body is dead, the spirit leaves. When the spirit doesn't come back at night, then we bury you. But you're going to be able to do this in a wakeful state. So it's not something that is so out of the world. But at the same time, it is. But like they say, if you have a good mentor, you have a good teacher, they make the impossible easy. The stage to enter, the mindset. Once you come under protection, you put your state in a state of humbleness, gratefulness and reliance. This can be anything. So the examples we've got here, humbleness. So this you get just with your heart and your mind, you're pondering. Oh Allah Azza wa Jal, I'm not able to worship, love, fear, remember you as you deserve, nor am I doing my best. Anything that puts you in a state of humbleness could be your sins or previous sins. Then when you do that, come into a state of gratefulness. Think, reflect. Allah Azza wa Jal, I do not deserve any of these blessings. You, again, use your sins. Despite all my sins, Allah Azza wa Jal, you are blessing me here. You're blessing me with this level of knowledge and closeness. And show thankfulness. The lowest form of thankfulness is to at least attribute your blessings to the one who gives, to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The blessing of being here, the blessing of Iman, the blessing of Allah, the blessing of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Anything that starts to evoke that emotion and that state. And then the third mindset is that we will do our part, but ultimately we rely on Allah Azza wa Jal. In particularly in this journey, so you're focusing on this journey here. Allah Azza wa Jal, you are the doer. I will partake in the methodology. I'll do my best to purify. I've made my intentions to follow the path. Allah Azza wa Jal, I want you. So I rely on you, Allah Azza wa Jal. I rely on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help you to have this spiritual opening and experience. Why? So you can experience the infinite closeness and closeness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, particularly on this retreat. Then the starting amals, you recite Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Astaghfar 3 times, Durood Sharif 3 times. Again, is preparing you. You're remembering what's happening here. Do this with a live heart. Allah, I start in the name of Allah Azza wa Jal. Allah, I asked for forgiveness. Send Durood and Salam on the most beloved of Allah. Then La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah, all might and power is Allah. Again, you're asking for protection and recognizing Allah Azza wa Jal is the most powerful. Okay, before I go into the actual spiritual centers, is any questions so far? Or was that should... somebody's asking, how's the audio? Can everybody on Zoom hear me okay? Okay, that's fine. Any questions so far on Zoom or here? Again, we'll do this together. Just straightforward so far. That's the how to prepare yourself. Now, the spiritual centers. Let's just see if there's anybody on Zoom. No, that's fine. Alhamdulillah. Okay. They say there's maybe more than 360 spiritual centers or entities of the spiritual side of things. What we're going to be doing is focusing on the 7 major ones. Focusing on the 7 major ones. The key, the main bit of knowledge, there is a whole section, the ones who've been on previous, so level 2 or 3 retreats, where we go into detail of what each of the spiritual centers mean, how they affect. But what you need to know here really is the color and the location. The red is located below the navel. The next one up is the orange, which is located at the level of the navel. The yellow, located at the level of the stomach, which is between the chest and the navel or the belly button. The green is at the level of your chest, is at the center of your chest, if you like, at the level of your heart. Again, remember there are others, but we're focusing on the major ones. The light blue at the level of the throat. Dark blue or indigo at the level of the forehead. The white, the crown of the head. So that's just above the head. So the ones who are wearing turbans, so where your turban is sitting, so just above the head is your white spiritual center. Is that's straight? For any questions on this and on Zoom? Okay, so the key thing here for the exercise is to, again, we will guide you. So when you do this by yourself, this is worth memorizing. Okay? And when you do the practices a few times, you will automatically remember this. But we will, particularly the next 2 to 3 sessions, we will guide you through the location and what to do at that location and what to think and how to breathe. Okay. So that's the location of the spiritual centers. Now this is going into the methodology. Again, this will be guided. First, what you do is you make preparation of the spiritual centers. You prepare the spiritual centers. How? Sit comfortably. It's always good to start off in the prayer position, the Atayato position. But the key thing is to sit comfortably. We're not doing it now, just doing the theory first. But mashallah, it's good that everyone's sat comfortably. But you can change your position. This is something that people sometimes forget. Let's say you start off the most respectful position. Then if you need to sit on the chair or you need to change your legs, cross your legs, you can do that. There's no harm in that at all. Then so the other thing is, don't get too comfortable that you end up falling asleep, because there is there is that sort of comfort and not too comfort, particularly in that mode. It becomes easier for your spirit to transfer. So what do you do then? Sitting comfortably, then imagine the name of Allah Azza wa Jalla above your head. Just look at the imagery now. So imagine the beautiful name of Allah. And you've obviously had the last lecture by Ustadh Abdul Rahim on the meanings of this name, Alif, Lam, Lam, Ha. So imagine the beautiful name of Allah Azza wa Jalla, as you see, is in white color above your head. And imagine it's full of nur. Full of nur. And the Noor is everywhere. The Noor is then coming upon you. Allah Azza wa Jal is focusing upon you. The Noor is coming upon you. Imagine the beautiful name of Allah Azza wa Jal's Noor is coming upon the top of your head. Then you take a gentle inhale, a long, deep breath through your nose. And as you do that, imagine the light is entering from the top of your head down throughout all of your body. Okay. And then when you breathe out, when you slowly breathe out of your mouth, imagine all the worries, stresses, darknesses and sins are being released. This is the preparation one. Because there's quite a few people who are new, I'll just check how we're doing for time. Are we okay for time? I think.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
2:45.
Okay, Jazakallah. What I'm going to do is just for a moment, just so, just from experience, what we don't want to do is go into the actual session and people are in confusion. Does that make sense? So everybody here, I'm just going to talk you through the preparation of the spiritual centers and those on Zoom. So wherever you're sitting now, just gently close your eyes. If everybody now in this room and on Zoom, just put your mouse, your pen, your notes down. Just gently close your eyes. Sit comfortably. Now just imagine, think the beautiful name of Allah Azza wa Jal is above you. If this is your very first time, you could open your eyes and just look at the name of Allah. Look at the name of Allah. And now close your eyes and imagine the name of Allah. If you can't see it, don't worry, just think. Think that name of Allah Azza wa Jal is above your head. It's full of Noor. The color is white, full of Noor. Now imagine that Noor is, the light is all coming upon you, focusing upon you, falling upon your head like a waterfall. Now breathe through your nose. Take a long deep breath through your nose. As you breathe in, imagine the Noor. Use your power of thinking and imagination. Imagine the Noor is coming down your body, throughout your whole body, inside, through your bones, through your bloodstream. It's traveling, filling your whole body up to the tip of your toes, tip of your fingers. Slowly breathe out from your mouth and imagine the Noor is coming out of your mouth and with it removing all your stresses, darknesses, worries. You're giving it to Allah. And repeat that again. Breathe in and let the Noor come into your whole body. And when you breathe out, just let it all out. Let your shoulders relax. Let all the worries, all the problems go. Imagine it's coming out of your mouth with the Noor. Okay, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Just slowly now, just open your eyes. So particularly the new people on Zoom and here, and those who've had difficulty, was that clear? Were you able to follow that? Yeah. Any questions or any difficulties in following that? So again, on Zoom, were you, particularly the new people, were you able to follow that? Okay, thank you. Again, we'll do this in more detail and focus when we do the actual, but key thing here is that you understand the concept. So this is the preparation. After the preparation, we focused on the individual cleansing of the spiritual centers. So we break those 7 down now and we focus on them. I'll go through it with the presentation, but in my own words, the key thing that you need to remember here is the color and the location. And the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which was in white, will change color depending on the location and color of the spiritual center. So look at the presentation now for the example of the red. Where is the red spiritual center located? As you mentioned on Zoom and you just together? Below the navel. Red spiritual center located below the navel. Imagine the name of Allah Azza wa Jal is in red color. So imagine this red nur coming from the name of Allah Azza wa Jal. This time, imagine the nur, you breathe in the nur from your nose. You're inhaling the red nur from the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then when you breathe out, first breathe in, you're inhaling the red nur and it's going straight down to your red spiritual center, which is located below the navel. Red nur from the name of Allah Azza wa Jal, you're breathing in through your nose, let it go down to below the navel. Imagine it's energizing and cleansing that area. So when everything is something that is being cleaned, it needs an exit path. The exit path is going to be when you breathe out, and the light will exit from behind the red spiritual center. So just use a cursor here. So the beautiful name of Allah Azza wa Jal is in red color. You breathe in the nur through your nose, go straight down to your red spiritual center, below the navel. As you exhale or breathe out, the light exits from behind, energizing and cleansing the red spiritual center below the navel. And I'm going to give you the same example again with the orange. The orange spiritual center is located where? At the level of the navel, yeah? What color is the name of Allah Azza wa Jal? Sorry, orange. So, navel, the color is orange. You're breathing in the orange nur. As you breathe in the orange nur, it goes straight to the location that you're cleansing. In here, the navel. When you breathe out, the light exits from behind. Now we come up to the yellow, which is located where? Zoom, you can type as well if you want to. Where's the yellow one located? It's on the slide. I just want to make sure people are interacting. You shouldn't be practicing just yet. Just make sure you understand the concepts. And where is your stomach? Sometimes people confuse the stomach with the belly button. Stomach is between your belly button and your chest, which is here. Don't look at my stomach. I normally have to breathe in first. Yeah? MashaAllah. But it's here. Between the chest and the belly button. Same methodology. And again with the green, you breathe in the green nur. The name of Allah Azza wa Jal is in green color. As you breathe in, the green nur hits your chest, goes inside, energizes the chest area. And when you breathe out, it exits from behind the chest, energizing and cleansing that spiritual center. The same again with the throat. What color is the throat spiritual center? Light blue. The next two are slight subtle difference because they're above your nose. When you breathe in, so the one after the throat, the next location is your forehead, which is the dark blue spiritual center located at the forehead. Imagine the beautiful name of Allah Azza wa Jal is in dark blue color. As you breathe in, just if you change the focus this time, as you breathe in, the light enters your forehead. Not through your nose, but directly to your forehead at the front. When you breathe out, it exits from behind. Now look at the image here. Directly into your forehead and exits from behind. And the same with the white spiritual center located at the crown of the head, which is just above the head. Again, enters directly into the front, and when you breathe out, it exits from behind. One of the questions on Zoom, for how many seconds we should breathe in. This is long, so I wouldn't worry too much about timing yourself. Just the key thing here is the thinking or the imagination and the breathing gentle. So gentle breathing, which is comfortable. Everybody, it'll be different for everybody else. But not fast, but just gentle, deep breath in. It's just a gentle, deep breath in. Just, if you can, extend it. But the key thing is you don't lose focus and imagination. You're focusing on the breathing, and it'll become easier. As you do this more, you will get your own momentum, inshallah. Okay, so we've done the preparation of the spiritual centers. We've now just done the individual cleansing of the spiritual centers. Just like the preparation, the third part to this now is same as the preparation. The beautiful name of Allah Azza wa Jal remains in white color, and the nur comes directly on top of your head. So it enters all your body and all the spiritual centers at once. But this time, as you breathe in and as you breathe out, your body will start to get lighter and lighter with every breath until the body disappears. Once the body has disappeared, what is left then? Only the spiritual centers, your breath, and the spirit remain. Everybody with me so far? And on Zoom, are you following this okay? So now the body's disappeared. Just your spiritual centers, your breath, and your spirit remain. Again, keep invoking the thinking, the imagination. Then what next step is for the spiritual centers to disappear. Remember I said we're using them. We're not making them the focus. We're going beyond, way beyond that. Spiritual centers, just like rocket boosters that have taken you into space, you get rid of the rocket boosters and you're getting ready for the shuttle to go to the next level. So let the rocket boosters disappear. In this case, the spiritual centers, starting with the red, disappears. Orange, yellow, green, light blue, dark blue, all the spiritual centers, the white, have disappeared. Just your spirit remains, your breath and your spirit. Next step after this, again, will guide you through this. You think of your own spiritual body in front of you. Even if it's as if you're looking at yourself in the mirror, it could be just a white outline of yourself. That will be your vehicle or your mode of transport in the spiritual world. What you do then is focus your breath, and you take such a breath out, so sometimes referred to the golden breath, where you transferring. So you're breathing out, take such a focused breath out. Again, we'll guide you through this, where you then blow your spirit out of your and into your spiritual body. Again, we'll guide you through when we do this point. So once you are in your spiritual body, there comes to a point where the instructor will then say, take the golden breath, transfer. You then take that breath out, and then once you've done it, imagine you're in your spiritual body. Again, keep the three levels in mind. If you're unsure, just think you are in your spiritual body. Some of you will imagine you are. Some of you will, everyone has a different experience. This is where feedback is important. So once you are in your spiritual body, remember, we need a guide in the spiritual world. That's not a place you want to be lost. The next step, the key step here, is to find your teacher. Imagine the teacher and you will find them. It's a spiritual body that you are connecting with, not the physical. They have many spiritual bodies. Again, I'm not going to go into detail on that side of things. It doesn't matter where you find them. It could be anywhere. Just let it flow and don't think too much. Now, what we do here is to help you focus. Is first understand this is a picture of the teacher. So the teacher, these teachings represent the teacher's teachings of Sheikh Ahmad Dabagh, rahimahullah. Just so I have an understanding, is this the first time? Whose first time is it they're interacting with the Sheikh Ahmad Dabagh, or this is the first time they're hearing their name? If you could raise your hands here. Okay, mashallah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. So this part is quite key, and the only, again, I'm just saying what questions have risen in the past. People get confused. Who's the teacher? How do I connect? So here, there's no limit, because you're already, by you attending this retreat, you're already interacting with the spirit of the teacher, because there's teachings from Ustadh Imam Qais to Ustadh Abdul Rahim to Ustadh Harun to come, Ustadh Majid, Ustadh Zafar, Ustadh Tahir, all the brothers who are here delivering these teachings are from the teachings of Shaykh Ahmad Dabagh. So you already started to benefit from them. These images help you, and sometimes it helps just to focus, particularly those who are in the Zavia. They can, once they enter into the spiritual world, you can imagine walking up the stairs where you eat food, entering into their room. But the key thing is that you come into the presence of the teacher. So you just need to think about them. So wherever you are, if you've never been to this Zavia, you'll find your own comfortable place. Key thing here is think of the teacher, connect with them. When you come into a room with them, you'll probably experience other creation, many angels, the sifats of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, nur, anwar, lights. Slowly, imagine everything else is disappearing and you're just focusing on the teacher, on your guide. So it's like coming into a new place. Let's say you as a child, your parents take you to a fairground. They want to take you to a particular ride, but you might be mesmerized by everything else going on. But the key thing here is that you focus on the hand or the guide of your teacher, and they will take you to the rides that are appropriate for you in the spiritual world. I'm just letting these images flow, so you can build up an image and let your imagination connect. So it helps for those who have interacted, they can recall the times they were with the teacher. But like I said, this can happen, and it does happen, without you having met the teacher physically. You've all, and each and every one of you, is already benefiting from the teachings. So just absorb these images. The first session will be focused on your meeting with the teacher. Then what we do out of respect always is to go to the grandmaster, the teacher's teacher, which is the great Ummi saint, Sayyidina Abdul Aziz Dabagh Rahimullah, which their resting place is located in Fez in Morocco. Okay, we've got a whole session here about why the guide is important. But the key thing for you here and for me here is that to benefit from this practical experience, we have to recognize that the teacher of this course is Shaykh Ahmed Dabag, and then we are connecting with them, and that's where the benefit happens. So if there's any confusions on any of this practice, so just looking at some of the questions. This means the Shaykh has accepted us as his students. So this is, I think, a sister from Zoom. Each and every one of you who've attended and signed up to the retreat, you are accepted to these teachings. And you will, inshallah, with the fazl of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, benefit. See, this is something very unique, I think, of our teacher Shaykh Ahmed Dabag. The whole purpose is here to connect people to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, connect people to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, to connect people to the teachings and not them as a personality, not make it about them. This is why many people are benefiting when the teacher here isn't physically present. So the whole mission here, the whole revival here, the whole mission and the whole revival here is to increase people's iman. Not only to increase the imans, but also for each and every one of you to help others as well. See, there's many places you can get knowledge from, particularly the spiritual side of things. With any field, we'll go into details. You need a teacher. I can only talk from. I'll see what time we've got. So where I've experienced traveling with a teacher, with other sort of scholars or people who are well versed in the books of like Imam Ghazali and other high level books, and they've come to certain conclusions. Where I remember one brother who was, again, not mentioning names, he came to a conclusion after studying books and books that the spirit has some part of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is from books, and then even the brothers tried to explain. He was finding it difficult to understand. So I remember doing the mashra was done with the teacher in this regards, and the very simple presentation was given about who you are. And this is not an average person. This is somebody who's on a scholarly level, but they're reading, but they want to understand spirituality. And in our minds, in our limited minds, we thought he was associating partners with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And he was. But once we brought this to the attention of the teacher to help that brother, it was mentioned, it's not just one, many. So every human being has got a partnership. This is the understanding. This is a Muslim who's a scholarly level understanding these sort of things. And then another scholarly level, he asked certain questions to the teacher, which then, when they were answered, this brother his eyes opened up, and he was so grateful. He was so grateful for this, because just imagine passing away in that state. This is why having a teacher and a Kabul teacher is so important. You can't read these things, and nor should you try to read these things and understand these things from books. I spent a bit of time with a couple of the lawyers here, the two, Mr. Iqbal Saab and Mr. Hussain Saab, and just discussing they were just talking about how in their field, how judges and in laws, how different they can be interpreted. and they can argue these things over. And just imagine, these are matters of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, matters of the spirit. Very, very important. You have somebody who, you have teachers, you will have different levels of teachers of ilm, you can have teachers of fiqh, aqidah, tajweed, knowledge. You can be associated with many pious people, and yes, and you should be. You respect all teachers, respect all those who are pious, but then you have those who are masters of this subject. Not only are they able to enlighten you, but also to train you to help to enlighten others. And that's just a glimpse of who you are linking with and associated with here. Just see if there's any other questions.
Sajid, there is one question which somebody has asked. How does the Shaykh able to attend to every person when we are all reaching out to him? I'm new to this, so I don't understand.
So this is where it comes back to the foundations of you're reaching out here to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you're connecting not with the physical, you're connecting with the spirit. The spirit is that, even your own spirit is so powerful that you'll experience this. It can even travel back in time and into the future as well. It can travel back in time and the future and be in multiple locations. So that's just, I want her to hold on to that thought, and rather than me try to give her a logical answer, I want her to experience this herself. Just like the sun can shine its rays in multiple locations around this world, what to do with the spirit that's connected to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Any other pressing questions? Or
Anybody got any questions in the hall, especially from the new people?
particularly in the methodology, because after this, what we'll do is we'll break for Salat al-Asr, then after that we'll go straight into the practical.
Literally a quick minute if anybody does have a question.
So it's difficult for me to focus on the name, color and the path that Nur follows and purification at the same time. Again, this will become easier as you practice. So the key thing from this actually is to make sure you understand the theory, and when we practice, the more you practice, the easier we become. This is why the first few sessions they will be fully guided, meaning we'll tell you what to think, when to breathe, not when to breathe, obviously keep breathing, how to breathe, and what color to think of and what to imagine. So we'll be guided, and that as you do something more and more, it's like imagine driving a car. If you try to explain to somebody who's never driven a car, you got a clutch, signal, maneuver, gas pedal, find the biting point. Yes, Brother Zafar, I know you got automatic before you say something. Yeah, you know, signal, maneuver, look, it'd be like, man, this is impossible. And most people like myself would now drive, and Brother Shawkat would tell you, without even thinking. Gone past his house, oh, you're going to your mum's house, why you forgot to drop me off? That's just letting my mum know. That's how often I come around their house. It's automatic. Any other questions on Zoom? Any questions here in the hall, particularly the new brothers? Was that clear? This is not time to be shy.
If not, then we'll break for Asr now. Anything else?
Just checking Zoom, see if there's anything coming through. Okay. One person's got their hand up. Was that from before, or did they have any question in mind? I guess probably from before. Okay, inshallah, I'll pass over to Ustadh Zafar now. So everybody, particularly in this hall now, inshallah. So the new people, I'll encourage you to come near the front. Try to feedback any difficulties, and the same with those on Zoom. So everybody who's new should at least try to give some feedback, any difficulties, anything that was easy, and then each and every session will start to then become easier. And we want to be able to get you into the spiritual openings, so when it comes to Ustadh Harun's session with the munajat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you can fully benefit from that as well, inshallah. Jazakallah.
Jazakallah. We are going to break up for Asr Salah now, and we'll be reconvening at 3 p.m. for everybody back in this hall and online participants. So inshallah, see you at 3 o'clock for the practical session of what we have just outlined to you now. So we've shown you what the spiritual entities and the centers are, how they are to be of how this is done, and it will be a guided session. Don't worry too much if you think that I can't remember the methodology. So inshallah we'll see you at 3 p.m. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Hussain.
Allah, 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 Mawla, Mawla, ऐ खालिक मेरे लौट कर आऊँगा मैं तेरी तरफ।